Okay, so talk about a super. Your television, I believe, I'm sure it's on your internet too, is full of middle class, slightly privileged people who write books and make programs about simplifying. I think there's this famous Japanese one, doing a haiku, so to speak. I speak figuratively, on really reducing everything down. Now, this is people who've worked for corporations or whatever, or have inherited money and have a big chunk of money in their bank or something similar, so that they can do the indulgent version of simplification. Me, I do the real version. But the more important thing is why. I'm an ultra environmentalist, I could call myself, in which case I use everything till its bitter end. And I like doing so. Now, so somebody sent me a text. Now I feel he even actually offered some money, a bit. At that point I disconnected. I didn't feel like a viewer to my YouTube. I didn't know what to say. That was about 3 or 4 months ago, because I hadn't met. If people ask me what do I do for the 10 years, no, for 20. Now, my wonderful 3 encounter angel, we were chatting day before yesterday, and I said to her, I shared with her. Now, she wouldn't mind if I said, I'm telling you something, because she's a grown-up, despite the youngest person I've spoken with for many a moon. I was saying, all I want is just some good examples for somebody like, now, for 20 years I've been seeking good examples for somebody of my own daughter's age group, which was then 5 years ago, 5 years, and is now 25 years. And she herself said, I don't have any good role models. Now, a role model is a slightly... The grown-up version of having a role model is half of them, or 75% of them, you take in and accept, and may even to some extent wish to emulate. 25% of them, you may reject that. Reject that 25% of them. Anyway, the only reason I mention that is, now, all I care about, so this fellow wrote UK is a total shit show. Now, I've known that, and the last 3 months I've actually encountered, always walking, half a dozen, even a dozen, of the most wonderful, honest people. That's all you want, honesty. It takes such a lot of effort wearing 2 faces, such a lot of energy wearing 2 faces, and curating your language never to frighten the horses. Or, as I met at 3 days ago, it's a fantastic couple. They had 6 young kids, and they just say they had moved here a long time ago. But I'm not interested in here. This is like, they all only believe in their utopia, and we see them cracking all around us, and they're very unpleasant. Now, that's nothing to do with me, because I don't have to bring children up here. So Mr. UK's a complete shit show. Why? Now, I knew this 15 years ago. In fact, I knew it 25 years ago. Why? How do you describe it in user-friendly language that isn't fake bullshit language, which is what they all do? I mean, one example, of many. This all started where I used to live. The same kind of people started to come along 17, 18 years ago, and then as of about 5 years ago, they'd all learnt it's like as if, well, it is a religion. They've all learnt from the same hymn book, and one of their words that they trot out, they push out, in fact they stab out with a smile, is community. if they use the word community, now in reality, as in the marches, community became even more of a gated community. I met people in the marches who'd moved in 17 years ago, 18 years ago, who didn't even know that Hay-on-Wye had a massive housing estate, and yet they'd be preaching nicely in that chummy middle-class way. In places like the Globe, where me and my daughter set up the Children's Chess Club. Oh, it's great, we've got kids coming up from the estate. It was only 300 metres away. You know, these are people who, according to their Facebook, they've read all the Russian literature. No, they haven't read anything. They're a pastiche of a human being, sadly. Oh, I didn't know we had an estate. Yeah, you've got a fucking estate where there's seriously hard drugs brought in by the dealers who first of all came to deal to your rich kid children as they came in. Now it's a free country, but sorry, don't live in denial. Anyway, let's keep it simple. So they all speak of community. Now, as of 15 years ago, 15 years ago, in my previous area, and then as of 2 years ago, trying to use the libraries, I'm more than happy living. This is my home office. It's as simple as that. I have no interest. I have no interest in socialising with anybody. I have no interest in anything except you can't say anything in this false community unless you have somebody to watch you back. Fact, or to put it more germanely, if you're seen as part of a couple, or even with a few genuine friends on the same page, people don't stab back. I don't care if anybody stabs back at me, except it wastes time. Now here's the point. Yes, community. In the community spaces called libraries. Hay-on-Wye 15 years ago. For a few years I had to go and use that one. But it's got so much worse. East Powys and Shropshire. 2 years ago I found myself having to go and use the library for 9 months. Every library here I've been to about 7 or 8 here. The worst one is actually Penzance. No, they're all just as bad. Community is when you respect your fellow community member who may not be able to afford their broadband that month and their mobile phone is broken and may have to go and use the library. And you keep fucking quiet. No, not possible. Not possible in Britain for over 15 years. Quite astonishing. Here, some of them, the librarians, are actually the very worst. I could tell you exactly what meal some of the librarians, not the closest one, but the next one away, what meal they had every day on their fucking holidays, because they're bellowing it out to their co-workers. But actually even worse, every single thing wrong with their pasty fat bodies, because they bellow that out too. Now, if you ask me, that's not community. Anyway, yes, back to your simplifying. Now, simplifying when you're not a dilettante coquette with time on your hands who looks just nice to the publishers. Now, I started to make some videos about this a year ago after trying to help a messed up woman living on a community that was officially a community, a large one, 3 miles northwest of Helston. She was about to be evicted within a few days if her place wasn't sorted out. There was huge amounts of wood, etc. And they all call themselves green, but nobody had even thought to protect this wood and other things. I spent about a week. Back-breaking work. None of them helped. They all lived around. They all call themselves green and hippie, you know. And one of the horrible creature tried to cause a problem over my hedgehog, the most well looked after hedgehog in the world. Anyway, that's irrelevant. No, they were trying to cause a problem over her dog, making false allegations. These are people who call themselves community. Not one person from that community came to help. Rescue, put under cover, tidy up. Ooh, about 10 tons of reusable wood. Now, to me, I love coming across things like this. Not because I'm a nasty bastard and want to hold anybody up to public view. No, because that's what is. Mr. Britain is a complete shit show. All of this, but particularly now, especially after, in the last 2 years, after the pandemic, it all became every other word. All of them. Every single person speaking in public who actually has nothing to do with the community. The community, if you're green, for example, is establishing where some of Mother Earth's resources are being wasted because of neglect, or more often than not, total familial dysfunction, and seeing if something can be done to reuse them, protect them, put them into storage. No. They all sit and procrastinate. What's the word? Pontificate. Community. Now, I've done a lot of real community, those kinds of real things, picking up the shit, protecting the resources of this planet. Nobody will help you. They're too busy pondering what to pontificate. To simplify, unless you're some privileged person who's got time and energy and the resources to think about your simplification in some perfect kind of Hare Krishna meets. I mean, that's what all of this, everything. You go to all these towns around here. What have they got? They've got the Hygge, Hygge. All of this kind of supposedly minimalist other culture stuff that's imported. It's all a load of bullshit. It's all because actually your average Englishwoman can't even handle is it Hare Krishna? No, what am I talking about? Kama Sutra, yes. It's all completely and utterly, European women will say so to me. It's all completely and utterly a displacement activity for the fact that even what's his face? Oh, is it Jeffrey Sachs? Yeah, did quite a good talk. I put it on 4 or 5 days ago. Yeah, Americans, but British too, are not very good at letting go in relation to the body. So yes, it's all a displacement activity, but that's too contentious. But anyway, in this absolutely dysfunctional, false thing called community, the marches just became about paid builders from elsewhere. They didn't want to use the local people who looked after bits of land, etc., because then we see inside their completely false lives, which may as well, there you go, there's a figurative, there's a metaphorical, these are actually, in reality, gated communities, those that came in. It wasn't the case 25 years ago. So what? It's a free country, but tell the truth of the provinces. Rachel Costart tried to. I first came across her in my 20s. A really good effort. All is not necessarily well here. Anyway, yes, all I have to say is if you need to simplify, it's about regions. Now, I'm only interested in regions of the land. 10-kilometre circle, 30-kilometre circle, etc. But regions. So everything I do is about regions. This region, there's things still to do, that's if I'm going out, blah, blah, blah. Now, regions, it's all about regions. That's, if you haven't got time to be making some perfectly edited haiku film as you're simplifying, make it about regions. That's your starting point. Regions, obviously, regions of dirty clothes, regions of very clean clothes. But, obviously, that's all obvious. But then there's a next level of regionalisation, which, I don't know, I've always, from time to time, had to do really tough outdoor jobs with nobody to help, or rarely. And when you're under pressure, you realise that's the most efficient way of doing anything. Regions. I shall come back to that at some point. I am so clean, it's ridiculous.